Welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. I'm your host, Tonia Pyle, and my guest today is Virginia Henry, a co-owner with her husband of Just Imagine Toy Store. And so thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And as I've told you before, one of my favorite places to go in Ridgecrest is Just Imagine. Your toy store is so much fun. I love going in there.
Thank you. We love having people come in. It makes it all the more fun.
There's always people in there coming and going.
Coming and going, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is so fun about it is you walk in and you see things. I mean, I see things like when I was just, the last time I was in there, I saw jacks. Mm-hmm. And so these are just things that I think, wow, are they still playing with jacks? I mean, I haven't thought of those for years, and there they are. And so much fun. I went in some time ago to get some comic books that my little nephew was interested in. I generally use him as an excuse to come in.
Well,
but it's just an excuse.
I hope that you don't think you need to do that. You should come in to explore, see if there's something that you want to do, or some memory that you want to spark.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the name, Just Imagine, and how you came up with that name, how you chose that name. Was it your idea? Was it your husband's idea?
Well, it was my idea, and it stemmed from a trip, well, more than one trip, with my daughter was invited to birthday parties. And this was when we were living in the Bay Area. And it was, and it was also the time when there weren't any specialty shops. And so we went to Toys R Us, and we looked and looked and looked, and nothing looked very interesting, and nothing looked like the child that we were going to buy for, or the parents who were going to be playing with the child with this item. And we thought, this is too bad, because toys are important. And
yes.
these are ways that children learn to
develop their gifts, their personality.
Everything, yeah. And so we thought, well, there's nothing here that excites the imagination. There are dolls, and there are these little plastic things, and they make noises, and I don't know. It just seemed like it was
lacking.
Boring. It bored me.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yes. It left you cold. It
yes.
didn't,
yes. And you were telling me about an experience you had like that. You were left cold until you found one thing that sparked your imagination.
Yes.
And he became your friend.
My teddy bear.
Yeah.
The teddy bear my parents got me when I was 7.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
And
of course, I thought he was a wolf. I was calling him a wolf, but he was a teddy bear.
Okay.
But so then at that point you decided you wanted to have a store, or?
Well, we had been thinking about moving and being self-employed.
Okay.
My husband at that time was a principal at a private college prep school in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I had been a teacher before, but at that time I was working in a mental health agency, and I had got about as far as I was going to be able to go in that agency. And we both thought that it was time to make a change. So we were considering businesses, and we thought the toy business
could use a little.
Yes. Yeah, it needed help. And we were going to change the world. And we knew absolutely nothing. But it was a fun idea, and we used a lot of our imagination and ended up down here. And we thought that this was really a good site because the people here, because of the base, they're highly educated. They would they would have money, they would be interested in the kind of things that we would want to sell them. And to be honest, the things that we wanted to sell were going to be more costly than some of the things that you find just, well, that we weren't able to find. You know, it just was, we knew it would probably be a good mix. And we had visited down here frequently because I have family here.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
And I thought this town was really attractive at that time. It was prosperous, and it was vital. And I thought this would be a good mix. And we found that the one toy store that existed here, this fellow he didn't want to continue with it. And so there would be no real competition. We thought we were doing everything real well at that time.
So it really is a very classic toy store, and when you walk in, you really get this sense of wonder. At least that's my experience every time I go in there. It's a sense of wonder. And so I'm sure that if it's that way for me as an adult, I can only imagine how it is for a child. When they walk in, they must have a sense of awe. I met a nice young man there and named Joseph, who was in the back. And so when we come back from, we're going to take a short break here in just a minute. I want to talk about your game room. You have a game room for children, and this is where Joseph was, where I met Joseph. And so we'll talk a little bit more about your game room and some of the areas of your toy store when we come back. So thank you so much, and we'll be back in just a minute with more Ridgecrest Talk and Virginia Henry from Just Imagine Toy Store. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk with Virginia Henry of Just Imagine Toy Store. And so, Virginia, you had touched on the fact that you were in education for a while, that your husband also was a principal at a school. And so tell me a little bit about your background in education and how you see that with toys.
Well,
now, go ahead. Well, I was interested. Now, I wanted to ask you what you taught or what level you taught.
Well, I was teaching high school, and so was my husband.
Okay.
And my field was Spanish and English.
Oh, okay.
And I valued even as a child. I really enjoyed going to school. I liked learning things. I was fascinated with learning things, and only the things I wanted to learn about, though. Of course, you know how kids are. And I always thought that I could have expanded, but that's the way it was. With a toy store, can't expand, you know. And I would be, as we were researching these things, we would go to stores where we found some items that we thought were really appropriate, and we would love to have them. And most of them were science kits. And I enjoyed science, but being a girl, and when I was growing up, well, even just partly because of the culture, I wasn't supposed to enjoy it.
Okay.
So, but I was supposed to enjoy reading and things like that. And so we thought we would have a lot of science kits because it's exciting for kids to discover things.
Yes.
And these kids could be making science, you know.
Okay.
And that would be just something that would be very exciting for a kid.
Wonderful for
and
them to
play
and to learn at the same time.
And it's very important for kids to have hands-on experience with things too. And for us, we thought that we would always have something put out so for a kid to play with and to be amazed. Like, for example, one thing we have out now is just a spindle with 4 magnets on it. But the magnets are not touching the spindle. They are not touching each other. They're floating above it. And you can go tap on top of them and they all go bounce around, you know. and it's kind of exciting, and the kids are thinking, wow, I wonder why it does that. And then they turn them over and they all collapse.
So they actually get to play with things when they come in your store. It's a hands-on store. It doesn't, you don't see signs that say don't touch.
No.
You have a crafts, or it's not a crafts room, it's actually a game room in the back, and with a calendar of events. So tell me about your calendar of events. I met a Joseph in there, and the gentleman running the store at the time I was in said, well, his parents are out shopping, and there he was by himself in the game room with a I don't know the name of the game, but he was telling me it was Magic.
Well, he was playing Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
And it's a card game, collectible card game that came out just about the time that our store opened. And so it's been around for a while.
So you have events that go on, and it was some kind of a big event coming up.
Well, Friday nights we have Magic. Well, it's called Friday Night Magic.
Okay.
And we have people come and play cards. We give them some small incentives, and they give us
Is it like a tournament?
Well, it's a mini tournament.
A mini tournament.
Yeah, it's just mainly just for fun. But we give them some cards, for example, for them to play with. They buy most of what they need, or they just bring a deck, depending upon the games that we're sponsoring that night. So that's what happened. Well, it's announced on that board in the game room. It's every Friday night. It tells you what kind of a game they're going to have. They might have draw, like this Friday night. There's a draw, which means that everybody, in essence, are given a number of cards, and they're going to build a deck from that on the spot and then play. And other times they can bring a deck that they have built just for the purpose of because they're strong and with these cards. They feel strong.
So is it strictly games, or do you have crafts that go on in the room as well? Or does it rotate?
We have occasionally. We did do. I did a drawing class in there once, and we learned some different coloring techniques, really, like doing squiggles in the background or cross hatching and stuff like that.
Now, this Joseph who was in there, and they said his parents were out shopping, can people just drop their kids off? And
no, not necessarily. We don't. We're not a babysitting service.
Okay.
And
so it's when Joseph, you have an event going on.
No, he could come in. Joseph could come in after school, for example, and wait for somebody else to show up.
Okay.
And then they can
and
play.
You're fine
that's
with that?
All right.
Is there an age limit, or is there an age range that's sort of focused on for the game room?
Well, generally, they're about 10 and up.
10 and up.
Something
to
in that.
Adults?
Oh, yeah, adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the adults are very good with those kids. Awful lot of them have kids of their own, and some of them bring them to our events. And so we're not just. Go ahead.
We have about a minute left. In our last minute, what should we know about your game room?
You can come if you like. You can, on Thursday nights, you can come and play board games.
Okay.
On Wednesdays, we have role-playing games. This is after hours.
Okay, after store hours.
Yeah, but you can buy things if you want.
So if they want more information, can they call the store?
Sure.
And what's the number to call?
760-371-3031.
Okay, we'll be right back after this brief moment and come back and learn more about some of the things you have at your toy store. Thank you. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk. My guest is Virginia Henry with the toy store Just Imagine. It's a classic toy store. I love going in there. Every time I go in there is just sort of excitement for me. I happen to really enjoy the science, the telescopes you have in there, because if there's one thing I love about Ridgecrest, it's the night sky. And in fact, when I lived in West LA, my friend's husband used to always bring his, now it wasn't a toy, but he used to always bring his telescope and come to the desert to see the night sky. And I had no idea till I moved to Ridgecrest the amazing night sky and how wonderful to have a telescope to scope out the stars. And I don't have one, but that's my
We
dream
can get you
to
one.
get one. So it's on my list of things I want to get. But we have some other wonderful friends we've been ignoring here, so maybe you can introduce us to some things you brought for us to see.
One of the things that we wanted to do always was to have things that you would not find in big stores, like Walmart and stuff like that. And so, although Walmart has puppets and things like that, they probably don't have any like the Folk Manus puppets that we have. And our stuffed animals, for example, are going to be a little more exotic. And
very realistic.
Yes. And
this little guy really has an interesting skin texture.
Yes, he does. And Folk Manus is very...
this is Funny Frog.
Yes, and he is kind of funny.
He is funny.
And he's very expressive.
Yes, he is. Wow, he's not shy at all.
No, he's not. He's a good guy. and they're proud of their craftsmanship.
And who's your other friend here?
Well, this is our
poor Funny Frog. He just got cast aside.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't bear it.
You want
I'll
for me?
take Funny Frog.
Okay, well, this is our pack rat.
Okay.
And he's got a little pack back here that he can put things in. It doesn't have anything in it right now, but you know how pack rats like shiny things, and when they find them, they just get really, really excited, and the mouth drops and everything, and they stuff it in their pack, which is in their cheeks and stuff.
I had a friend whose little girl was like that with her food. She always tried to save it back in the corner of her mouth, and her mom used to always have to tell her, no, you have to eat that.
That's funny. I just read something recently about somebody who wanted to have a place to store the food she didn't like so she could run to the bathroom and spit it out. And that's what she was doing with packing her cheeks. And so, we have a lot of desert critters in our store. We have turkey vultures, which you won't find.
Well, I'm glad you brought your Legos here, because this is something my nephews, which I thought maybe they had outgrown, but they love Legos.
Well, this is their top of the line, the Mindstorms. And with this kit,
I'll bet it is.
You can build 6 different robots.
Wow, Mr. Robot.
Yeah, and these are remote controlled. And this is for like ages 10 and up. But I think it is for people who are really, really interested in science. And it could be very, very rewarding.
And now with our sort of soft manufacturing, I guess it's called, with the drone and things that we have here, that manufacturing in Ridgecrest, it sort of prepares them for that sort of thinking. That train of thought.
And the remote control is really big now, especially
big now.
with the drones, as everybody knows. And we have several different varieties of drones and things.
Well, maybe
in the
they could
store.
send that robot out to deliver their pizza or something like that. I don't know.
That's
And
an
what
idea.
else have you got here?
Well, you were talking about the game room, and these are some of the things that that we could.
You know, the games were never my thing. You know, exactly how you said people either identify with it, but it seems like the boys are really into this.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know why. Well, it's going to depend on what you're doing, and mainly, for example, we were talking about Magic, the Gathering. Mainly, it's guys that are interested in that. But the board games. This is a board game right here. This could be. This is something that couples might play with other couples around a table. And this is a cooperative game, so it's not. The idea is to defend the castle against these little green meanies over here.
And so you have couples who come in to your game room and play?
Occasionally, yeah.
Oh, really? Because I can remember as a kid, my parents with their friends played bridge. Now, I never got into doing that with my friends, but I always thought that was neat when my parents did it.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
And my parents played cards when I was very small.
And this is a game board as well?
No, this is actually a card game.
Oh, okay.
But it's based on the Renaissance in Europe. And
so people learn about that history.
Yeah, you learn the history while you're playing. This is competitive, but that's all right. That's good
now,
too.
what do you carry? Some books.
We do some.
And we have about a minute, and we'll end on these books here.
Okay. Well, this book right here is called "The Empire Striketh Back" by William Shakespeare. So this is. The Empire Strikes Back, done in iambic pentameter, like Shakespeare. It's written as a play, and it is very, very fun to imagine R2-D2 beeping in iambic pentameter.
Yes,
and
so that's
one.
That's
nifty.
One thing. That's
but for our kids, the younger kids. We carry a lot of these traditional books, the ones that you and I grew up with, and that will remain classics for a long time. Wind in the Willows is in stock right now, and the Robin Hood and His Merry Men, and all of those things that are part of a well-rounded kid's knowledge, you know, that will make them successful in their
help
early
them develop
life.
their imagination.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Virginia, for coming in and taking time to share with us about your toy store, Just Imagine, and the activities that are there for children, generally age 10 and up through adult.
Okay, well, everybody, all the kids play.
Okay.
The little ones who can barely walk come in to play on our play tables.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. This was a pleasure.